Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Morgan County Movers and Shakers. My name is Jan.Sullivan, and today on the show we have Brittany Morgan. She is the owner of Born Again Birth Service. So I'm excited for you all to get to know Brittany and her services. And I just want to thank you so much for being willing to be on the show and being a part of this. And hopefully we can bring Morgan County closer together, the more people we get to know.
Absolutely. Community is my favorite thing.
Yay! Tell me a little bit about your business and what you do.
So I'm a doula. I do birth and postpartum support. I really enjoy supporting NICU and bereaved families. I had my own personal experience with that about 3 years ago. So I went through a really traumatic, I guess, high risk pregnancy and also a traumatic labor and birth. And my son unfortunately passed away from what is called NEC. And I was just very uninformed in that whole process. I was 23 years old and I was just a first time mom with not really any education. And for a long time, I carried a lot of, questions. And like they always tell you, you can't blame so and so, you can't do this. But it's nice to have education because it helps you feel like you actually like had a say or like you're not crazy or invalid for having certain feelings.
Right.
So being a doula, thanks to my church, there's some midwives and doulas that I used to go to church with, and they kind of took me by the hand and led me to I don't know. I feel like it's definitely a calling. It's very rewarding, but being a doula and serving other families and making a difference that I did not have is probably the most rewarding thing. So
Nice. I bet that's fun. I envy you.
I get my hands got to get to live on a lot of babies. So
Yes.
I definitely I don't know, my favorite part is probably just kind of being there and holding space for moms, no matter what kind of atmosphere they're in, just being able to empower them and like advocate for them.
Yeah.
And dads too, because first time dads, second time dads, it's kind of a whirlwind regardless. So I'm there for, educating them, helping them feel like, they're part of the space and like they actually can help mom and they're not just kind of there with their hands up and like, what do I
Absolutely.
do? How do I help?
Yeah.
So it makes a really big impact, I think, for them as well.
Yeah.
And overall helps for the experience to just be, I guess, very impactful and, it brings you closer together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the baby is very welcomed into the world.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about you. Where are you originally from?
So I'm born and raised in Morgan County. I have grown up here for 26 years and I've moved around to Athens. I've lived in Marietta. I've kind of got a little bit of taste of Georgia all over, but overall, this is my home. And I love being able to, I don't know, bring this community together because there is kind of a resource desert when it comes to birth workers or just having like a good pediatrician. Maybe you have like certain beliefs and you might have like a pediatrician in mind that you want to match those beliefs. And it's really hard to find those out here. I
That's true.
know a lot of moms will drive upwards of an hour to have just adequate care,
Wow.
just throughout their prenatal or postpartum, even. It's really hard to, have chiropractic care or find someone who's able to, maybe have a support group in the way of like postpartum support,
Mhm.
So just being able to kind of connect the dots and allow people to be like, hey, you're not alone. You have somebody to hold your hand through this.
So how did you get started? I know you talked a little bit about your own situation, but how did you get training? Where did you go to school, or was it a
So
mentorship kind of thing?
yeah, so basically, as a doula, you essentially go through like a training program. It could be 3 days to like 2 years, roughly, depending on who you go with. I was going through DONA for my training, and then there are other, for continuing education, you just do childbirth education, like breastfeeding education, postpartum care, newborn education, and you kind of just maintain that after you get your certification. And overall, it's pretty easy to get into. I actually did a career day expo for the high school
Neat.
and got to share because it's something that you don't really have to go to tech school or a 4 year degree to have, and
Mhm.
it can make a really huge impact on all sorts of communities.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it's a very important resource, I
So
think.
how would you encourage other young ladies to start getting involved in something like this?
Definitely ask yourself kind of where your heart feels called. Because, for me, it started out in birth work, and I never thought, I'd do the full spectrum care. But more and more, you see the need for postpartum support and moms not having, the village that we're always told. It takes a
Right.
village to
It's like
raise
a
a
village.
baby, but it also takes a village to care for a mom. And
Mhm.
we're always so pushed back into the real world right after childbirth. And, there's a big emphasis on, okay, let's get back in, like recover quickly. And you don't get to be held as a mother. And
Right.
it's really important, I think, to ask yourself where your heart feels called, whether
Mhm.
you can put aside personal bias, because with birth work, specifically being a labor and birth doula, you have to be able to recognize, for me, I don't serve in Piedmont hospitals because my experience was very traumatic and I hold my personal bias in that. So
Mhm.
I don't feel like I could give my best self. And that's something that you really have to be aware of and be able to accept and put a boundary in so that you can provide the best care and the most unbiased support. Um, and then in regards to postpartum support, it's just a whole other ballpark. It's,
Mhm.
newborn education, kind of small like nanny training details required, just being very attentive and
Mhm.
being very people oriented.
Yes. Yes, I imagine so,
Yeah.
because you're gonna get to know them intimately.
Yeah, they become part of your family. It's very great.
Yeah,
Honestly, I think that every mom I work with or every family I work with, it's like I get updates now from moms last year who their baby
absolutely.
just hit 1 year old and they're like, "Look how big." And
Yeah, they
it's
send you pictures,
yes,
yeah.
so it's wonderful. I really
I
enjoy
know
it.
this doesn't compare, but I used to work as the dog director at one of the humane societies, and I'm like, I'd love it when they sent me pictures of the babies growing up.
Yep. It's really rewarding, and, like, I'm waiting on the day that I have, like, my first time moms give me another call and say, "Hey, we're planning for another." So, and that's my favorite thing, and, just being able to I'll go and run around. I'll have moms, maybe they're 2 weeks or 2 months out from their initial, birth,
Mhm.
and maybe they're struggling with lactation, or maybe they need a good pump, and they've just been using whatever their insurance covers. I just recently went all over Atlanta picking up birth supplies and just dropping it off and
Yeah,
helping make that little bit of a difference. So,
nice, nice. So, what has surprised you most about owning your own business?
definitely the self-motivation that I did not think I had. And also, I definitely feel like being in this work, also given my circumstances, it's led me to find, I guess, you know, born again birth is, named after not only my newfound self, like, I guess the trust in myself,
Mhm.
but also just my newfound faith and being able to be, trusting in the Lord and like what He calls me to do. And
Mhm.
that alone has been very hard.
Mhm.
And, I've had to really press in and tell myself, like, you're only 2 years in. Don't try to give yourself, like, I don't know, imposter syndrome. It comes
Mhm.
up a lot. And
Mhm.
so really just having to lean into my faith and know that like the families that I'm really made to make an impact and serve, God's going to bring those people to
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah, he does do that. So, what was it like when you first started?
it was really nerve-wracking. I did not know what to do. I was not sure where to go, who to talk to. The Georgia Birth Network made a huge impact. And then there was also a couple other doulas that I had as mentors when I first started out that, I could call or text them. I could decompress after a birth. I don't have like any kind of, I guess, outer responsibilities, so to speak. I have a couple of dogs, so it makes me very flexible, and I'm
Mhm.
able to kind of drop my like everything I'm doing and just kind of go.
Mhm.
So I haven't missed a birth, but I'm always kind of like making sure, you don't burn yourself out,
Yeah.
take your time. And that was, I used to say yes to every single person, and now I'm very intentional with who I serve.
Okay, great. So, what is something that most people don't know about the business?
Um, it's definitely one of those things that you have to be used to on-call life. So it's almost as if
Yeah.
being a nurse or a doctor. I go on call at 36 weeks. So basically, from 36 weeks, if you call me, I'm gonna be there at the drop of a hat. It doesn't matter if it's an induction or a natural labor, I'm there. So sometimes a mom might feel like she's struggling in early labor,
Mhm.
and I might end up being there from early labor till the birth, and that could be 6 hours, that could be 24 hours.
Wow.
So it's very
Gosh.
demanding, but
Yes.
it's so
So
rewarding.
rewarding. All right. What do customers say they love most about your business?
I think it's the impact and the difference, especially for my moms that are not first time moms that have had, trauma instances, or they've just had their hospital births and they just weren't really satisfied with the care that they received or the pushback they may have gotten against just certain things. So being able to provide another side of that and like kind of be like the doulas and midwives that were there for me. I got to see another side. I was invited to see a home birth before I got into birth work, and it really lit a fire in my heart,
Nice.
and like it ignited something. And it's just like, it doesn't have to be trauma. It can
Yeah.
be a very empowering and life-changing experience.
Yeah, definitely
As it should
life-changing.
be. As it should be.
So, have you ever had any odd requests from your clients?
I don't think so. I've had a few dads that when I go through labor coaching, I do like a crash course in the basics of childbirth. And I'll teach moms how to use peanut ball, how to do hip squeezes. And they'll be like, okay, like teach her how to do hip squeezes on me or how to use a Rembozo scarf. Cause we do this thing called shaking the apple tree.
Uh-huh.
And it's basically you take a scarf across the hips and you just kind of jiggle
Uh-huh.
and it helps bring the baby down or rotate them.
Uh-huh.
But dads, when I go to like coaching sessions, it's very funny when they try to, change it up and get quirky and ask moms to get involved and
So it's
try to,
mostly the dads that do all the odd
yeah,
requests.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they like to pick fun, but overall they enjoy it.
Okay. So, what are your goals for this coming year?
So I have definitely picked up business, still being intentional, but I definitely think my biggest aspiration, I guess, is going to be really growing the community and the network here. Not just Morgan County, but out in the Eatonton, Milledgeville, just the southern region alone.
Right.
And with their lack of resources, I've been slowly networking and trying to know, like chiropractors, yoga instructors, just anyone who wants to work with pregnant women or birthing families. Like, how can we help them? How can we create a space for them and allow them to have an option or someone to call?
Okay, great. So, what do you think are going to be your biggest challenges at doing that?
Getting the word out. That is something I definitely, very often, I used to serve over at Amici and, even just being in Athens for a little while. When you say the word doula, you kind of get a funny look, or they'll ask, is that a midwife? And you kind of have to explain, like, what I do is not medical at all. There's boundary for sure. And, like, some people kind of like, why would you need that? What did you need that for? And it's not until you really get to explain it
Right.
and, show its value because it's, most people just kind of go in and they're like, we can wing it, or like,
people are afraid of what they don't understand.
exactly.
So, yeah.
So definitely, I don't know. I'm very excited to see what the future holds.
And hopefully this can help because you're talking to all of Morgan County right now, and there are going to be other people that will, Google doula or something like that, and hopefully your video will come up, so they'll get to know you as well.
That would be wonderful.
So yeah, this is what this platform is so great about. So, how long have you? Well, you've lived here all your life, pretty much, and in Athens too. So we can skip most of that. So, what is your favorite thing about this area, about Morgan County? What is your favorite thing about Morgan County?
Community and how close knit everyone is. You have all the mom groups on Facebook.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, that's where I find not even just the families I work with or serve, but just moms in need that have questions that are like, when should my baby, start being weaned? Or when can I introduce certain foods? Or does anyone have like any resources for NICU support? Or, like, do we have any families that are bereaved that know of support groups or resources? Just being able to, provide that little bit of insight. I know I was a lost mess when I was going through my journey. So
I wish I could have known you then.
I appreciate that.
So, yeah. So, what are your favorite restaurants in Morgan County?
Oh, that one's a hard one.
I know. I couldn't pick.
So I know Ricardo's has really great food. I've also been trying, so the Sinclair. I bought some bread from what is
La
it?
Patisserie?
Yes. That one, my grandparents love their bread, so we try to eat like fresh produce and fresh foods, really. In regards to, I guess, I don't know if this counts, but I would highly recommend anyone go and check out Levity Farms because they have some really great quality product, produce. They, I think, teach a beekeeping class.
I think I've seen that too.
But they're really
Which
wonderful
will be on
people.
our calendar of events, once it gets published on there. So
They're really awesome. I love them. So definitely check them out.
great. And so, have you witnessed any significant changes over time in this area?
Yes, we've had quite the few restaurants changes.
Yeah.
Downtown has changed significantly. We've had just a lot of small businesses pop up, which is nice because
I
we have a
know.
lot of like more, family-oriented restaurants, more, what is it?
More places to shop.
Yeah, like just more versatility.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's becoming more and more of a place you want to bring your kids to raise your children. So it gets you away from the craziness of the city life. And Athens is wonderful, but you're only 30 minutes down the road. You can just go and visit and then get out.
Go back home. Go shopping in Athens and come back home.
Yep. You're thing here, close to I-20. You can get on there, go straight to Atlanta. It's very.
It's like we're halfway between Atlanta and Augusta.
Yes.
It's the best thing
It's
ever.
perfect.
We are the heart of Georgia.
Yes, I love it. That's very, very true. That's all I was taught growing up in school.
So, what is something that most people don't know about you?
Um, hmm. That one's all hard, I guess. Growing up in a small town, it makes you think about it. I'm definitely very family oriented. So right now I am striving really hard to take care of my granddad. He's going through chemo and he is actually on his last treatment. I am very excited about it.
Nice.
So that is something I take pride in is I'm very family driven and I take pride in, just taking care of everybody. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So, why do you think it's important for people to shop local or to use local services?
It definitely helps create, the community that we have. We wouldn't have, the park as clean as it is, we wouldn't have like I wouldn't say, you can leave your doors unlocked or anything like that, but we have a safe town and, the money that goes into it is definitely put back out into the town and the city.
Right.
And they really invest in keeping that. Like our school system is probably one of the most top tier school systems that you could find locally. And a lot of that is because the community sees what we need and they really want to invest in the kids. And it's not every school has the luxury of having like an agriculture farm
Right.
and a cosmetology lab and a huge it's just wild. So
we got a crazy school system.
yes.
But it's awesome. And that's why people want to come here.
Yep, exactly. So it's definitely support your community. It's very needed.
So I know that you get to birth a lot of babies. But what is one of the highest highs that you've ever had? Because I think like watching a baby come into the world is a pretty daggone high. And I don't know how you can beat that. But
So my first birth, I will say that I ever attended just solely as my own entity. It's pretty impactful, obviously, and I definitely had a couple of tears when that baby was born because that mom rocked her birth fully natural.
Nice.
But like the postpartum care that I have been doing recently, especially with a NICU mom, that just the things that they say or like the not even reviews, just like the kind words that they give me on just a personal like out of everybody's eyes behind the scenes, that is probably the most fulfilling because there have been times where another mom went through the same circumstances as my son did, but actually I won't say, I didn't save any baby's life or anything like that, but by giving her the information that I had from my experience and being able to be like, maybe not this hospital, but I think you should go ahead and transfer out and go to this hospital and start getting better care. Because essentially they couldn't diagnose, in Athens what was going on with her baby. But when they got him to Children's Hospital, they were able to diagnose, treat, and that baby is healthy and thriving.
Nice.
And to see that and to see like that mom reached out and sent me the 1 year update. And that
Absolutely.
was probably the most rewarding thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's got to be great.
Yeah.
So what else do you do besides work?
I spend a lot of time hiking. I love to spend time, like I said, with my dogs. I have 2 cats too, so it's kind of a zoo. But outside of that, I spend a lot of time with my sister and raising my nephew. That is my pride and joy. So watching him and just helping them grow. And I don't know, I have a lot of little hobbies, bookstores, like just taking myself out. It's very important to nourish and give yourself self-care when you're in the birth industry.
Oh yeah. Anything exciting that customers should know about going on?
So I am working on getting some childbirth education started, some classes.
Nice.
I offer one-on-one support, just like in-home coaching. It's like 90 minutes, very easy, very simple crash course on the basics of childbirth. But I would like to start hosting that in group settings.
Nice.
Also, I am reaching out to some locals about having, maybe either like a space outdoors or just like a little room that we can set up and do a support group. And then my biggest thing that I am working towards is a birth story podcast.
Nice.
So I really would like to start sharing local moms, their stories, whether it's a home birth, a hospital birth, a belly birth, or a natural delivery. However that looks, I would just love to share some stories and get their word out in the community.
Absolutely. That sounds awesome. So what is the best way for customers to contact you?
Either through my phone number, or you can find my website, which is bornagainbirthservices.com. It has my email, my phone number, all of my services listed, and any kind of information that you might want, you can just reach out, give me a call, Facebook me, anything.
Okay. And one memory from your childhood that stands out for you?
Going to the beach with my granddad and collecting seashells because we have a beach trip coming up in September. It's
Ah,
been 12 years and I'm very excited to go to the beach.
okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And he'll be chemo free, so
Yes.
it should be
In
feeling
remission.
good.
We're going to be great. It's awesome.
So, what does the future hold for you?
Hopefully, maybe one day a pregnancy wellness center or maybe a midwifery. I don't know. We'll see. I'm
Ooh.
very excited. I've been, picking the brains of local midwives. I know a few who stay really close contact, obviously.
Yeah.
So maybe one day, we'll see where God calls me.
Okay. And when your life is over, how would you like to be remembered?
You know, oh man, I'm gonna try not to cry, but oh, that one's a big one. So I think that in my circumstances, I have definitely learned that life and death can very much be, birth. It's really, I don't know how to explain it, but to be able to bear witness to something that can simultaneously happen can really put things into perspective. And I was not raised a Christian, but
Mhm.
to see the legacy that my son has guided me to has been extremely rewarding. And just to be able to be remembered for the differences in the lives that I've made, that alone is a blessing. So
Yes. Thank you so much. Well, that's about it for the this
thank you.
episode of more like I get it backwards all the time. So I'm going to look at what I wrote down.
It's okay.
Morgan County Movers and Shakers, because I always do either Movers and Shakers in Morgan County. And so one of these days I'll figure out what the name of the show
No
is, but
worries.
we'll
I
get
really
there.
appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. I know it's long.
That's okay. No, it's great. If you like the show, hit the like button. If you didn't like the show, hit the dislike button. If you have any questions, feedback, or an opinion you want to share, comment below. And if you know someone who should see this, definitely share it. And if you want to get notified when another episode comes out so that you can get to know the hidden gems of and local leaders in Morgan County, then hit the subscribe button and hit that little notification button, the little bell there. Your engagement means more than you know because it helps local businesses, professionals, and leaders of our community get more exposure for what they do. Because it tells all these platforms that that they need to put this content in front of people because it's important for the growth of this area. So thank you in advance for doing that. And if you're thinking about buying or selling or investing in real estate in Morgan County and you want to work with a local market expert, that's me. I work with eXp Realty. I've been in real estate for about 2 years now, and I live in Morgan County, so I specialize in this area. And I can help you find the right home and negotiate the right deal for you because I've chosen to be a local market expert. And if you're not ready to move and you just want to chat about real estate, give me a call, give me a text, whatever. My email is jan.sullivan at exprealty.com and my phone number is 859-509-0454. You can find all of that information in the comments below the video. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And it was so nice to meet
Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much. This has been incredible, and I really appreciate your time.
Awesome. And thanks for choosing Town Park
Yes,
for this
absolutely. The center of our beautiful town.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.